Thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 6. I'm Jessica Porter.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Denver7 Investigates going face-to-face with Denver's mayor tonight, holding him accountable for decisions made in his 2 years in office.
Monday night, Mayor Mike Johnston will deliver his State of the City address. Chief investigative reporter Tony Kowaleski sat down with him ahead of that address.
What was your greatest accomplishment in your first 2 years?
I think the one will have to be homelessness. I mean, we ran on the plan to do that.
Self-criticism can be difficult for all of us. But if you were to look in the mirror, what would you say your greatest failure was in the first 2 years?
I think if there was one thing I would want back, it would be our ballot measure on affordable housing. I think if I had done a better job telling the story of what we were trying to do, that would have passed, and we could be building a lot more affordable housing right now.
Tony is also listening to the Denver community, taking your questions and sharing your voice with Denver's mayor.
Now, he heard from 3 Denver residents who have questions about bike lanes, immigration, and homelessness. So Tony took those questions to the mayor, Mike Johnston, and he got some answers.
Scott, how long have you lived in Denver?
I've lived here approximately 29 years.
29 years. What grade would you give Mayor Johnston after 2 years in office?
I would give him an A-.
If you could ask the mayor one question, what would it be?
What are we going to do with these bike lanes that has taken up a lot of space and crowded our streets? Since I've seen them put them in, I've seen 4 people riding in the bike lanes. I believe it's a waste.
I wish Scott were in this office because we have this conversation a lot.
So should the people of Denver anticipate changes?
We've paused expansions of a lot of new bike lanes, so we'll try to focus our efforts on a smaller number of highly safe lanes and then make sure we're balancing that with protection on parking.
Marty, how long have you lived in Denver?
I've lived in Denver for about 53 years.
What grade would you give Mayor Johnston after his first 2 years?
I would give Mayor Johnston probably a B to a B-. I think that there's trouble with the immigration issues that they're having associated and the conflict with the Trump administration.
If you could ask the mayor one question, what would it be?
I think it would go on to the immigration and the sanctuary city policy is how do we get to a point where we're not in constant conflict with the government and the Trump administration, and how do we get to a point where there's middle ground.
I agree with Marty on that. I would love to avoid having any more battles with the federal government on these questions. And I would actually say, I think Denver is at that stage now where we don't have a crisis. We don't have folks sleeping in the streets. We don't have budgets that are overwhelmed. We think we've managed this. And so we think the crisis is over. We think the fight can be over.
Anastasia, how long have you lived in Denver, and what grade would you give Mayor Johnston?
Oh my gosh, I've been here for a little under 2 weeks. And I would give him a B+. Like, it's exceeded every expectation I could have.
If you could ask Denver's mayor one question, what would it be?
Yes, so my question would be, how can the homeless help themselves? Because we have seen resources where there is help available when we do help them, like Mutual Aid Mondays, which is just right on that corner right there. But how can the homeless population really help themselves right now?
I think her point is right. We both want to help get people that are homeless access to services. And we do think they have some of their own accountability in using those services and taking advantage of them. And so we're really focused now on getting people into transitional housing, but then making sure they're doing the work as soon as we get them housing to get a job, to get treatment if they need it, to get set in a long-term housing unit, and to make their own money so they can pay their own rent. You know, we want them to be independent and taking care of themselves.
Denver7 giving a voice to the people of Denver. They asked the questions and you heard the mayor had the answers. Mayor also telling us to expect another aggressive year of goals as he tries to make his city, the city of Denver, even better during the next 12 months. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski.
Chief investigative reporter Tony Kowaleski is dedicated to digging deeper into issues that impact Coloradans. He and the Investigates team work together to hold individuals, organizations, and governments accountable. So if you have a story you'd like Tony to look into, contact him directly. Scan the QR code on your screen to get in touch or send him an email at tony.kowaleski@denver7.com.